Hey, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time to update the best 7-star champions to rank 3 or rank 2. I'm going to give a little bit of an intro, but then we're going to just jump into it, and then I'll go over the legend, all of that at the end. The most important things to cover are, this is different than the general tier list that we do every single month, right? Not every single champion's out as a 7-star. And also, we do this, myself and the MCoC Illuminati, every single month to try to help you efficiently use your resources. This is meant to be a snapshot on how we value the champions. You look at it, cool, and then you go and do your own research. Check out the playlists on my channel, go to their channels. There's a ton of great resources out there, and then make sure you play them, which is a nice lead into the best champion to rank up is always the one you enjoy for a variety of reasons. And I've been saying this for a very long time in these videos, but I'm glad it's caught on the rest of the community. I'm starting to hear it more and more in other people's tier list videos, which is great, because it's going to end up to happier and better players. Is not only is it a game, you should have fun, but also if you know how to use them, because you're playing them a lot, when the fight's tough, when the node and defender get tough, or when a mistake is made, you're gonna know how to climb your way back out of it way better than if you're like, oh, well, this champion was high on Vega's tier list, I should rank them over the one I really enjoy. I have a strong feeling that in a variety of situations, you're going to play the champion you like better than the one that was higher on my tier list that you might not know how to play. And then also prestige. I just want to warn, especially as we're now getting ranked 3s with Necropolis, and then of course Cyber Weekend coming out. Remember, the champions, they scale oddly, or they move oddly in the initial ranks, where you gotta go way back in the game where 6 stars were in the prestige as far as ranks 2 and 3. Sunspot and Gambit in particular scale differently than they do as 6 and 4, rank 4 and rank 5. So just keep that in mind. And also, all it takes is one champion to put out by Kabam that changes the prestige scale. And so if that's your thing, go for it. Just make sure that that's an ongoing thing. You're never like done with prestige. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, this is for champions, all 7 stars to rank 3, rank 2. The higher we have them rated, the more likely we are to say, like, you should rank 3 them. That's good, that's great, right? Rank 2, there you go. And honestly, all the 7 stars are very, very strong. It's a great set that's out. I think they're all worthy of ranking. So they're on the list, they're worthy of ranking. Here we are, we're in the tier above all with the Mystics, and you're just gonna have a long, happy life. They are showing absolutely no sign of slowing down in this game, and they're ones I would be very excited to pull, of course. We've got America Chavez and Juggernaut. I'm not gonna talk in depth about every champion because there's just so many, but there have been a lot added recently. Moving on to top shelf, these are OP champions, and you can see Kushala. I mean, I might be biased, that's why the V is there, but I've actually gotten to play her a little bit, since I do have the 7-star at rank 2. Just put out the boss solo by Prince Yoshi himself in SSX against a Maestro boss. She's amazing, right? My good friend, Daddy Longlegs, DLL, you've heard me mention his name for years now, works for the company, designed her. He has an amazing track record of design champions. I actually had her in the tier above all, and the Illuminati's like, Vega, listen, we know you really like her. We know you got to be part of the design process. Yes, I've been a part of, I've known she's coming in for a very long time. It was an amazing experience. And yes, DLL has been nothing but home runs with these champions, but we can't just start her in the tier above all. We can't just do it, although maybe that's where she'll end up. Check in December, maybe that's where she'll be. Werewolf, so many people are showing us Werewolf. Bitter Steel, big fan. I know there's others, but they're showing me some really cool things. I thought he was going to be a defender. No, using him offensively and doing phenomenal stuff. The power gain's big. Wiccan's really cool, and he's unique in the 7 stars Mystics as far as having that neutralized. And also, we're seeing him have some value in Necropolis, so keep that in mind. Mojo's incredibly unique, shortening buffs. Maestro, the big new wall defender, one of the best things to do against him is to shorten buffs. So Mojo makes a ton of sense. And then you've got Sasquatch and Scarlet Witch. I said I'm not going to talk about all of them because this video would take forever. So we do need to continue to move on. Let's go to the super premium. These are very good, or they're pure defenders. You will see one of the emojis is Battlegrounds or Defender heavily factored in. So if you're interested in Battlegrounds, make sure you see that little fencing emoji there and be like, okay, there actually would be a little bit lower. Like Sasquatch would be a tier lower for me if Battlegrounds was not exciting for me. You can see I have him in rank 2. So there we go. Dragon Man, fine champion, great champion. Wong, starting to see some cool stuff about Wong. Now, if Wong ends up being a potential MVP for Necropolis, I think Wong's gonna move up for sure into that top shelf. Just the thing is with Necropolis, it's one of those, like, once you're done with it, you're done. Now, it's a big piece of content. I think it's going to be very relevant for a very long time. So ranking a champion up for it to rank 2 or rank 3, I think makes a ton of sense because it's going to save you items, you're going to have fun. But I do want to call that out. He is good in Battlegrounds. You can check out my Battlegrounds tier list to see where we have him rated there. Mordo, excellent champion. You feel happy. Kindred, I think once you know how to fight Kindred, you realize that they're a tough defender. You have to play them well. If you mess up, you're going to get punished. But he's not a wall, or they aren't a wall. Battlegrounds played into that thinking there. And we got Juggernaut and MCoC. And then for the final tier, it's just Sorcerer Supreme. Now, there's a time, you have to go back about 3 years, where I truly felt like Sorcerer Supreme was almost as valuable as Dr. Doom to an account, but somehow just the class and the game have kind of moved on from her. She's still really good. I'm excited to see her as a 7-star. She has a ton of utility. But now that Battlegrounds is a thing and such an important part of the game, it just feels like the game's moved on from her a little bit. But keep an eye out. And like I said, all the 7-stars are worth rating. All right, let's go ahead and go on to Mutant. Moving on to the mutant class, we got Sunspot, Bishop, Domino, and Havoc. We don't know how Havoc's coming into the game. We know he's in the game, but we don't know which crystal. This could be a situation like they just did with Captain Marvel movie. So he's got the question mark there. Domino, she is phenomenal, especially at rank 3. We've seen some cool stuff out of some videos and things like that. Not really surprised. We saw that when rank 2s were really, really unique and doing that. She the massive bleed damage, and if Battlegrounds is your thing, she's a phenomenal defender. Once she is awakened, even unawakened, she's not a bad defender. Moving on top shelf, we've got Gambit. He's in an interesting spot. I will tell you right now that I do think he's on the more downward swing. When the 7-star pull was more limited, I think he was very unique and he could help you get around like Korgs and Atumas. I really like him. You definitely want the 6-star Gambit Relic, and I think if you have that, you can do some cool stuff. You can see I have mine at rank 2, but if I were to pull a Mutant Gem, he would not be in my thoughts for taking to rank 3. I definitely would have all of the champions on the left above him, and potentially even Danny Moonstar, who's in a tier below. As you can see, rank up the ones you enjoy. Moving on to Super Premium Strife, we are starting to see some cool stuff out of Strife in Necropolis. He's not turning out to be this massive MVP like Kate Bishop or anything like that, but he is usable, and I think Karate Mike did a run, so check that out for sure. Storm, I predicted she was one of my kind of dark horse sleeper picks there, and we saw that, lo and behold, I think Mike did find a way to make her a horsewoman or a horseman and go in and do some really cool stuff. Emma Frost, of course, so much utility, all those immunities, things like that. Storm X, really good defender in Battlegrounds. I don't think the Battlegrounds is why I don't think you're necessarily in that tier with her to rank her for Battlegrounds. I also don't value her tremendously for Battlegrounds to push her up. I think that's just where she is, whether you're into Battlegrounds or not. She's a good champion. Danny Moonstar, now we are aware that she's getting some sort of tune-up. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but she is a good champion. There's a lot packed in there, and if you learn how to play her, you can do some cool stuff. As the fight demands a little bit more flexibility out of her, she can start to struggle, but she's still very good. I think if you have a high enough relic, it's the Gambit Relic, and you can get the 5-star or higher. She's only in the Titan Crystal, and you're going to want her awakened, I believe. She's very good. She's one that will be on my short list to rank 3, but I like her. You guys know that. Moving on, we've got Sauron and Colossus, and then we're over to Namor and Platinum Pull. Namor is significantly higher on my monthly tier list because that's just ranking the champions as they are. You really want them at the high sig. There's a lot of 7-stars that can do massive damage. The reason why you're taking Namor over the other ones is because of the damage back mechanic, but you can only have that at Sig 200. And I don't know about you, but I am nowhere near having any 7-star champion at Sig 200, particularly one that's in a unique crystal like Namor is. Let's move on to Science. Moving on to Science in the tier above all, most of these champions don't really need any introduction. Titania, the Overseer Hulk, Silk, and Photon, all phenomenal. Photon, another daddy long legs DLL creation, the 2 7-stars. They're phenomenal. And Battlegrounds just play a role in Photon, but honestly, I don't even think you have to enjoy Battlegrounds to enjoy her. She's just a fantastic champion. Now, Spider-Ham does need that emoji with the fencing person, because he being Spider-Ham is phenomenal in Battlegrounds, but I've used him in War even recently, and yeah, the tactic was helping him, but the tactic was helping him deal with defenders who also had the defensive tactics. So if I just blanketed those two out, if I just crossed them both out, removed them, he was doing phenomenal damage at rank 4. He's a really nice champion. He's smooth to play. I loved him when I initially pulled him when he first came into the game, and I was like, his flow is amazing, right? Learned a tip from Barrow Man. If you can force the defender to throw their special with 2 bars of power, you're going to get even more strong damage out of him. I can't think of his Porker Poppers. You'll get better sting damage from him. He can help you get around some of those really tricky to evade specials. Moving on to the top shelf, Mr. Negative, Spot, Void, and Spider-Man. The ones we'll talk about really quickly are Spot and Spider-Man. Spot, you are going to want to awaken. I want to see it. I would like to see a 7-star. I have a feeling, because this has happened repeatedly here with these 7-stars, is they're so strong compared to their 6-star counterpart that I don't know if you need a high sig with Spot. I think once you just get him awakened, you might be already better than the 6-star at a similar rank, like at a rank 2 compared to a rank 5 6-star. I want to see it though. I do. I really enjoy Spot. If I pull him, you'll still be very excited about it. He also has some really nice synergy with America Chavez, so just full transparency there. Then the other one is Spider-Man, Bitter Steel. Oh, that young man is showing some cool stuff with Spider-Man. Make sure you pay attention to all of the Illuminati channels. They're all linked right there. But Bitter in particular, as far as Spider-Man is concerned, if you've pulled Spider-Man and you're disappointed, or you're feeling like you really missed out, or you don't have any good science champions, you want to go see Bitter's channel and revisit that. B McG's been saying, beating the drum about Spider-Man 2. Check out their channels. They've got great stuff. Let's go into Super Premium. Joe Fixit, Morbius, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Cap. This is like an example of like how good the pool is and also how strong science is. And also this is the 3rd tier. They're still great. They're still fantastic. Cap Infinity War, B McG's put out videos with him doing great stuff without the awakened ability. Ant-Man can be a real pain in the butt. You want him awakened though. Spider-Gwen, people doing cool things like that. Char in My Own Alliance, taking out Sasquatches and things like that. Morbius, I really like Morbius. I did the video on him. He is a little weaker in utility, it feels like, although he does have some, but I really like it. But I just want to address why he's not higher up. And then Joe Fixit. I mean, Eris just used Joe Fixit to take out a Polka Dot Power fully ranked Maestro. So Joe Fixit is doing really good damage, can do a lot for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the tech class. Moving on to tech, we've only got 2 champions in the tier above all, being Shuri and Warlock. Shuri is working out exactly as we thought. We knew she was meant for long content. Then they gave her that buff and she became phenomenal. Oh, she became very good with shorter content. But she is shining in Necropolis to the surprise of no one who's been paying attention for, 6 or 7 months here. So that's been really cool to see. Warlock, I think, does retain a special place. Now, here's where this gets a little interesting. Bitter Steel kind of pointed it out. I was already tempted to move Iron Man up because I value Warlock and Iron Man about the same. The thing is, Iron Man's newer. And I think you want Iron Man awakened, but that one is really tough. Bitter even mentions, like, I think move Iron Man up, and I honestly think, like, Iron Man is not a pure replacement for Nimrod. Please do not have that be the takeaway here. But I don't think we're getting Nimrod as 7-star for a very long time, if ever. And Iron Man can remove the prowesses. Iron Man has different otherwise utility and is a different champion aside from that. But Iron Man is very good. There's a reason why I very happily took mine to rank 5. I've used him in Masters Tier 1 War with SSX this season. Used him in Battlegrounds. I really like him, and please don't be surprised if in December you see Iron Man moved up, and please also don't be surprised if you see Warlock moved down, or Warlock staying up and it has the awakened emoji along with the Battlegrounds emoji. So just don't be surprised. I kind of also like to point out when I think champions are on the move a bit there. Ultron, this, you know what? That's actually a mistake. I'm going to update that here live as we are filming. Look at that. This should have the question mark because we don't know exactly how Ultron is coming into the game. And honestly, the rest of this tech tier does feel weird than Iron Man, but I only want so many tiers because one of the big takeaways is I want people to realize how good these champions are. When you start getting all these tiers, I think it really starts to dilute that idea and make it seem like there's these massive differences between, Hulkbuster and Warlock, and we all know there's really not. So Ultron, Penny Parker, Guardian, and Mysterio, I think you're all going to find your uses. Mysterio, really interesting for me that Penny Parker is now going to be available as a 7-star, which I don't know what Crystal. Remember how massive that Penny Parker synergy is for Mysterio. I covered that in a video, and it's really cool to know that Mysterio, with that really nice synergy, now has his partner, his synergy partner, also available to be ranking for probably years to come. So I think that's really cool. Hulkbuster, you know I've been a fan for a very long time, and Karate Mike showed us what a rank 3 Hulkbuster can do in Necropolis. So I just, that tech is really interesting, because I think all of those are phenomenal champions. I do value Shuri the most, though, and Iron Man seems to be on his way up, or I feel like Ultron, Penny Parker, Guardian, Hulkbuster, Mysterio are very solidly in that next tier. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm glad we got a chance to talk that one through. That's one that's not going to come across as well when we do the screenshot size tier list that Misty K helps me put out, that I put out on Twitter. But that's fine. That's why you watch the video. All right, we'll move on to super premium. We got Lady Deathstrike, War Machine, Howard the Duck, Rock Raccoon, and Gilly. I said in my predictions video, I just had a feeling Gilly was going to be a bust. Now, I know people are doing some good fights in Necropolis with Gilly. So what I was saying is, I know a lot of folks were hoping that she'd be like a main clearer. And as of now, it's still early, but as of now, there are no signs of her being a main path clear like Kate Bishop, let's say, or maybe even Baron Zemo. Okay, moving on to Call, we've got Civil Warrior, Iron Man, Infinity War, Cap Sam, and Vision. That they deserve to be there, all of them, and for their own reasons. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to skill. Moving on to skill in the highest tier above all, we've got Shang-Chi, Mantis, Falcon. I've done videos on Mantis and on Falcon. You know I like him. Yes, Falcon will put you to sleep while you're playing him, but when you wake up, you'll have won. It's pretty incredible. It's amazing. There may be a time where the game passes him by, but I don't think it's yet. I just don't think it's yet. And Shang-Chi, I can't imagine a rank 3 Shang-Chi. So much utility wrapped into a really fun champion to play. He was my first, I think he was my first rank 4 6-star champion. Had no regrets. Loved him. Loved him. Even took him to SIG 200. Moving on to the top shelf, the OP, we got Black Cat, who there was some people in the Illuminati really pushing for her to be all the way up to tier above all. I just personally couldn't quite do it, and there's some other voices being like, not quite yet. But I know for some players, especially if you get really skilled with her and you've got that appropriate relic there, the Black Widow relic, they're going to say she should be up there. There's enough things, there's enough nodes, there's enough defenders where there's something you can cause to fail, and the damage is so good, and the utility is good, and she's so fun to play. So it makes sense to me. I think that's one that definitely is like, if your own personal opinion, you enjoy playing her, rank her up, have a great time. Crossbones doesn't need to be awakened. Yeah, it adds on a ton, but he's still reducing that ability accuracy without it, so don't forget that. Also, Bloodstone, Killmonger, phenomenal defender. You get him awakened, which I have done myself recently. Don't be surprised if there's a rank 2 Killmonger in my Battlegrounds deck coming out very, very soon. Chilth is new. Definitely does appear to be designed very well. A lot of attention has gone into her. I'm excited to play her, and the early returns on her are actually quite good. Those summoners who won her by their own efforts in the Battle Realm Brawl have put out videos on her, and it's kind of cool. I will not be upset if I pull one. Let's put it that way. I just don't think she's going to be in the next Titan Crystal, unfortunately. I think she's going to miss the cutoff, so we're probably not going to see. I think Chilith might be a bit of a post-type sleeper, meaning like a lot of excitement, this new character, Indigenous, Kabam created, and then because no one's really going to have her, or not no one, but the vast majority of the community's not going to have her, I think people are going to forget about her, and then like, 6 months from now, we might be talking about how great she is. So let's see how that goes. Jabari, and then Atuma. Campo pointed out Atuma, because Atuma actually was rated a little bit lower. But Campo pointed it out, and most people agreed, and I know I definitely did. He's like, look, he is a good defender. He requires you to bring a certain counter to him, and he's a good enough defender that he's good in Battlegrounds, right? And he's good in Alliance War, and then they even put him in Necropolis. And then the fact of the matter is, he's also good enough to be used offensively. I've actually been able to see some very cool uses of Atuma in Necropolis. I wouldn't have imagined it. I honestly wouldn't have pictured it. I was aware that he could build up. I just hadn't thought of it. And now I'm seeing some videos of Atuma doing some very large damage, showing utility, and being really quite effective. No joke. In Necropolis, I know Nagase really likes him too. It makes a lot of sense to me. If you got a defender that's strong that you can also use offensively, I think that makes sense. If you're a Battlegrounds person or Alliance War person and you really enjoy those modes, then a champion that you can put on defense and then use offensively, that's part of why I love Photon. Makes a ton of sense to me. Moving on to Super Premium, we've got Korg, Black Panther, and Ronin, and then Call, we've got Hawkeye. Remember, all these 7-stars can do great damage and do things. They are all worthy of ranking. Just because Hawkeye's in Call doesn't mean they aren't worthy of ranking. If you enjoy them, go for it. Okay, and then we're down to our final classes with the Cosmic. And, you know, I've been saying this for an extremely long time in the monthly tier list videos. Cosmic is a very top-heavy class when you look at the champions as a whole. But what's been really interesting is that Kabam has not released any of those top shelf champions. We call them the top, or tier above all, right? We've got like Cosmic Ghost Rider, Hulkling, Hercules, Gallon. None of them are available as 7 stars. And a really cool thing has happened is that I think it is allowing those non-eye-popping champions to now get our attention, and we're finding uses for him. Nola's amazing. When he came into the game, I was so excited that I pulled him. I took him to like SIG 200, and I think it was rank 4 at the time, if that's what it was. And now Campos got him at rank 5, and I think Ascended. I'm going to use him in Necropolis. I'm very excited to see those results because I think Nola's going to crush some fights. But he's alone in the tier above all. And then we move on to the top shelf, and we've got Odin, Bitter Steel, and amongst others, is showing how powerful Odin could be, particularly in long-form content. And one of the things Bitter is like, he's also good in questing and Alliance War. He's not bad in Battlegrounds. This is a phenomenal champion. He should be rated highly. Venom, I know, Big Evil's like, finally, Venom's getting his due. You get the Venom Relic, you're having a blast with all those bleeds. Gamora, I'm going to be using her in my first run here in Necropolis. She does great. She does massive damage, and she does have utility. Vox, Eris MUH has been talking about Vox and saying they're going to start showing us these videos. I've started to see screenshots. Vox can do tremendous damage. Gore used to be higher up there. We know the damage they can do, but here's the weird thing is as of now, it doesn't feel like it's a community we've discovered where Gore can be used in Necropolis, which is odd because he's definitely a champion that can be, like, you would think would be used in long form content. It might just be the way the mode was made. There's not much we can do about it. Maestro is new. Give that time, but it's a defensive champion who's built to be a tough defender, definitely appears to be a tough defender. And then if you could use him offensively as well, it's kind of going back to the Atuma thing. Hyperion was also pointed out by quite a few of the Illuminati. They're like, we all get what he can do. And it's not like he's aged poorly. I mean, the champion came out so long ago. But it feels like today's modern game just asks more. Hyperion can still do a ton of utility. He's still got the still do a ton of damage. He's got that massive power gain. He's a phenomenal champion. But in today's game, you're just often asked to have more nuggets of utility that he doesn't have. And I think that is true. Hyperion's phenomenal. You get him and you're excited about it, rank him. But I do think he's finally on the back half, which is saying a lot because I think he came out in like 2016 or something like that. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Moving on to Super Premium, we've got Terrax, Captain Marvel movie. Where did she come from? That was a cool crystal to see. Silver Surfer, Angela, and Gladiator. Angela is definitely higher ranked in my general tier list, but you want that high sig. And when's that going to happen? Gladiator, let's see if he gets a buff. Keep an eye on that one. And then going over to Call, we got Arcus, Red Goblin, and Venom the Duck. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll back up and we will talk very quickly about the legend. The star just means awakened or the awakened is needed for the rank. Where we have them, they need to be awakened in order to have that rank. Relic, mainly the 5 or 6 stars needed for where we have them ranked. Battlegrounds or Defender heavily factored in as far as the fencing person Everest content. Well, it's here now. We're seeing it. The Lion is signifying my own personal rank 2s. The unicorn is that they're in the Titan crystal. So like this is a really rare pull. Some champions are moving out sooner than others, but just keep in mind how rare they are. The weightlifting person is hopefully there's a buff coming for them. That's why we've got it next to Howard the Duck. And the little video game monster means they're in the Alliance War, the Incursion Crystal. The Rainy Cloud means they want the high sig. It could be years. You don't know when this is going to happen. Question mark is they're in the game, but we just don't know which crystal yet. So keep an eye out for that. The dice emoji means it's early, be careful. That's why we had that next to like Werewolf, Kushala. They're just so new. This is where we think they're going to be, but give it time. And then the V is next to Kushala because like I might be biased. I love this champion. I got to be part of the design process with my dear friend, Daddy Longlegs DLL. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think we got right. Let you know what you think we got wrong. And if you think we got something wrong, please let me know. I do enjoy constructive criticism, but I really want to know also like where you're using us, these champions, because that is always helpful in knowing, okay, where are they in relation to others? Because as I said, all of these champions are worthy of ranking, can do really good things for you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.